Hi ladies, good afternoon. It is Sarah Shipton here from Scrapbooking with Sarah, and I am coming live to you on Tuesday, the 10th of December with my Technique Tuesday class this week, and I am going to be sharing some fun stamping techniques with you today. So I'm super excited about that. If you are new to stamping, then I'm going to be giving you some stamping tips. If you are an expert, then I'm sure you'll still be able to find something beneficial from today's Technique Tuesday that you can incorporate into your scrapbooking layouts. So, we've got a couple of people that have joined us live already. There is Miss Sonia. Hi, Sonia. I know Sonia's going to be really excited to see this layout today because they feature photos from New York City. And what I wanted to do with my weekly challenge for this week's scrapbooking layout was actually use my leftover papers from my Snow Days scrapbooking workshop kit. And I've actually got the kit here with me. So this is what I have left over from my Snow Days scrapbooking workshop kit. As you can see, there is not much left there at all. We've actually got one sticker strip left in here. I have used pretty much most of the product, and this is what we've got left over with the pattern paper and then some cardstock as well. And in fact, I actually think this cardstock is left over because I have grabbed some separate sheets of cardstock from my stash to create other scrapbooking layouts with the leftover pattern paper from the Snow Days scrapbooking workshop kit. So that is quite often something that I do. And in fact, I'm going to share just quickly with you. This was actually our scrapbooking challenge for last week. So again, I've used the leftovers from my Snow Days scrapbooking workshop kit. I've used some pool party cardstock here and some Poppy Parade cardstock here as well. So that's why we've got some leftovers there. I didn't do a Technique Tuesday class because I was actually away last week in Sydney celebrating our son's 20th birthday. Is this just not the most gorgeous thing ever? I love, love, love. I've used the metallic paper here in silver. I've used the golden greenery dies here, and the dies actually go over the top of the vellum paper, and then I've cut out these beautiful silver bells as well. So just gorgeous with the leftover paper. I've got a little flip flap here. This was Christmas breakfast last year, and then I have done another embellishment cluster here using the Spotlight on Nature dies and the golden greenery dies. And don't these little druzy embellishments, these little silver glitter bling, I just love the bling, really just finishes it off. And then I've wrapped some of the silver metallic ribbon around that pattern paper there. So this was actually last week's scrapbooking challenge, and I just wanted to quickly recap that for you. So you could see I still had plenty of this pattern paper left over, and I had some of this blue pattern paper left over as well. And I'm going to give you a little tip before I start talking about the weekly scrapbooking challenge. When you are cutting your paper, if you have got the Snow Day scrapbooking workshop kit. So the thing that I love about the workshop kits is that they come with this instructional guide. It tells you exactly what you need to do to trim your paper down. And in fact, this is the one that I was going to reference here. Why do I have so much of that exclusive paper left over? Did we get 3 sheets of that paper? Because I actually cut that paper. I cut that paper a certain way. Maybe it was the other blue paper I cut a certain way. So we had the leftover. What did I do with that here? This is the exclusive paper here. I cut it a certain way so we could have the leftovers and not use it all. I'm sure it was that paper. Oh, I know what I've done. Okay, right. All right, I've got it. Okay. So if you are going to invest in the Snow Day scrapbooking workshop kit, this blue sheet of the exclusive paper, see here, it's got 3E, and you're going to cut that at 12 by 10 inches. And then you put the paper on the layout, right? But then you cover that exclusive blue paper with this red and white candy cane paper, right? And I'm like, well, hang on a second. Why am I going to use up all that exclusive paper by cutting that at 12 by 10? You can see here number 3 means it stands for layout number 3. So all I did was I put my candy cane paper on first, and then I only needed a 1/2 inch of that blue pattern paper there. And I reckon this must have been, if that was 1/2 inch of that, and then the candy cane paper is 10 by 10, so 10.5. So I would have only needed 1.5 inches here. So I've actually ended up with, by making, changing that cutting there, I'm thinking, why do we need that whole piece? Well, it's 12 by 10, but you're not going to, you're going to cover it all, right? So this is one thing with the scrapbooking workshop kits, and I think this is good to consider, obviously, for those of you that have transitioned over from Close to My Heart. Don't be afraid to just double check stuff, or even, this is also the other reason why I create these scrapbooking workshop kits first, because I love to put them together first, and then I can give you tips and techniques on saving the paper or making it work better for you in terms of adding in extra photos or adding in extra embellishments. But I was able to save basically a whole 10 inches worth of that exclusive paper by only trimming off the tiniest little bits that we need. So I hope that makes sense to you. I can see that Hope has joined us as well. Hi, Hope. Thanks so much for coming on live today. Now, you obviously want to make sure that when you're cutting that, if you're going to get this workshop kit and you're going to salvage your paper, you want to make sure that you're cutting it up the right way so your triangles go the same way and that your triangles match this paper here as well, okay? So that is my little tip there for you. I had to just take a minute to think, oh my gosh, how did I do that? But because I salvaged that paper, I was able, I've got it left over, and I was able to use it on this layout here. And then I've put a little dovetail piece up in the top left-hand corner here also, okay? So that is definitely a good little tip. So you've got extra pattern paper to use. And the snow days obviously is a Christmas theme, but what I've decided to do is create a cityscape layout instead. So I have used the colours from the Snowy Scenes paper suite. So the Snowy Scenes paper suite is in your mini catalogue, and you will find Snowy Scenes on pages 32 and 33. Now, keep in mind, this September catalogue was actually in production well before those of us that transitioned over from Close to My Heart to Stamping Up came on board. And so all of the artwork that you see here is all card or paper craft base. And what Stamping Up did was create an additional scrapbooking brochure also that we released in September. And they picked 2 paper suites from this mini catalogue to create scrapbooking workshop kits from, and they put them in this scrapbooking brochure, okay? So one of those paper suites obviously was Snowy Scenes. I know this is confusing because they called the scrapbooking workshop kit Snow Day. It just would have made sense to make this scrapbooking workshop kit called Snowy Scenes as well. But this was the scrapbooking workshop kit that I've used to create 3 Christmas layouts. I haven't put photos on those layouts as of yet. If you are in my Facebook group, then you will see the layouts. I actually posted them in our group last week, maybe the week before. And I haven't put photos on them because my intention is to actually keep them for Christmas next year, because we are planning a white Christmas in 2025. So I thought, you know what? I was initially going to do something different with them, but I'm going to hang on to them. And I've got them ready for some snowy themed photos. So your scrapbooking workshop kit retails for $44. I will put links to all the products that I have used in my weekly challenge today. But this was the kit that I purchased and I had the leftover from. Now, because I had those leftovers, what I did was I took the color palette from Snowy Scenes, which it all coordinates, as you can tell with my nail polish for this week. And we've got 6 different colours that are part of the Snowy Scenes Sweet collection. We've got Poppy Parade, Petal Pink, Pumpkin Pie, Garden Green, Pool Party, and Early Espresso. So I used my remaining pattern paper from my Snow Day Scrapbooking Workshop kit. I had some leftover Poppy Parade cardstock. And then I also invested in some Pool Party cardstock as well. In the scrapbooking brochure, Stampin' Up have started to release two-tone cardstock, and this is going to continue to be rolled out. We're going to see more of this come in the new year, and then by the time the next annual catalogue, which will launch in May of 2025, is released, you will see all of the two-tone, all of the colours, the Stampin' colours in two-tone cardstock then. So they started with some of these colours that you can see coordinate with the Snowy Scenes. I've used Pool Party, but I've used the lighter side of Pool Party here just to tone it down very slightly with the blue. And I have backed my sheets of cardstock onto this brown colour cardstock, which, if we come back to the colour suite, Early Espresso. Now, there is no, I didn't have any Early Espresso, so I've used the Close to My Heart colour comparison chart that you can find loaded in the files section of my Facebook group. And the brown that coordinated or compared was the best colour comparison with Early Espresso is actually Mocha. So I've used 2 sheets of Mocha as my base, Pool Party as the sheets inside, and then I've used White Willow cardstock to mat my photos. So the layout that we are creating this week is from the Make It From Your Heart Volume 2 book, and you'll see pattern 10 on pages 24 and 25. So you can see we've got this nice big border around the outside here, so you'll need 2 sheets of paper, either cardstock or pattern paper for that. You're then going to need 2 sheets cut at 11 by 11.5 inches, and that's where I've used the Pool Party for here. And the 11 by 11.5 means that I can line my colour cardstock up on the inside here, and I've got this nice even border around the outside. I love that look. It's just a little bit different than putting it like smack bang in the middle. Pieces B and I, I've used the leftover papers from my scrapbooking workshop kit. So I've gone with Poppy Parade and Petal Pink just to bring out, you can see here this beautiful pink in the tree. This was actually an art installation in Hudson Yards in New York City. There is a Hudson at the end of Hudson Yards where you've got all these big buildings and art installations. That's actually the Vessel. It was closed when we were there. And then you've got an art centre here called The Shed. This was the view over the top here from where we were standing at this tree. So there is a outdoor walking kind of like path. It's called the High Line. And where we started here is where this beautiful art installation was. So you kind of like walk along. The High Line is a outdoor, it was the elevated rail line that went from Hudson Yards all the way down to Chelsea Market. So it was like a, I want to say that's not a factory trail line. It was like it was an outdoor railway. Sonia might be able to help me with this because I think they walked a little bit of the High Line as well. But basically this was used to transport goods from Hudson Yards downtown to Chelsea Market. And instead of actually demolishing it, the city rejuvenated it, and it's now this beautiful outdoor walking trail, and it's got all these super cute art installations along the way. So I thought that those colours worked really nicely with my pattern paper. I have also used some cardstock here to make my dovetail pieces at the top, and also this piece here. And then when it came to matting the photos, I just want to give you a little tip with these cutting instructions here. I cut both of my mats at 4.5 by 6.5. This one, it says to cut it a little bit smaller, but I didn't. I cut both of my mats at 4.5 by 6.5. And I don't normally do a thicker mat with my photos, but I actually think it looks quite cool. And I love how it all sort of like matches up and it's all in line and coordinated with each other. This was designed for a 4x6 landscape photo, which I did not have. So you can take any of your photos and you can cut them down to 3x4 and I've just matted them on there against each other, and it kind of looks like one big photo, but it's two separate photos. And then I didn't have another photo here to cut down 3x3, so I've actually just turned this into my journaling box, which is really cool. So I've ruled my lines at 1/4 inch, done my journaling, and then I've done some stamping here. So I want to introduce you to this stamp set. This stamp set is actually from one of the kit collections called City Sites. I will drop a link to all of these products that I'm sharing with you today in the comments below. And this was actually a card making kit, and this particular card making kit came with this city scraper, kind of like skyline stamp set, and this really cool little pattern as well. And then you also get a block in your kit collection as well, if it's a kit collection that contains a stamp. So not all of the kits come with stamps, but this one did. It also comes with a little Stampin' Spot, but the color Pebbled Path didn't coordinate with the suite that I was using today. So I have actually brought in two of the colors that coordinate. We've got the classic Stampin' Pad in Pool Party, and then I've got the Close to My Heart color comparison, which is Mocha, to compare against Early Espresso. So I'm going to demonstrate this stamp to you today, and you can see that I've stamped the City Skyline stamp here and also at the top here, just in these corner bits here, so I thought they worked out really well. And then I also did a border along the bottom of my Pool Party. And when you do a technique like this, so you can see here the way that my stamp went. I'm going to just pop this on the block so you can see what I'm showing you here. You can see here the way that this stamp is designed. It's got a bigger section here. So I actually stamped it upside down as a continuous border along my base of the Pool Party cardstock here, making sure that I was re-inking in between. Because if I had done it up this way, then I would have kind of ended up with this big bit here, and I just thought that looked a bit funny. So I stamped it upside down, and because I had, my suggestion to you is if you're going to do this kind of technique is to actually stamp the cardstock first before you then stick this cardstock on top of here, because I thought to do this afterwards, and then I had to get some scratch paper and put it underneath the Pool Party to do my stamping along here. I wonder if I kept that piece. So you can see what I mean here, right? I had to actually put this underneath my Pool Party cardstock and move it along each time, because if I didn't have any paper here, I would have ended up with part of the stamped image on my Mocha cardstock, which I did not want, okay? So I did have to put some scrap paper there before I did that. So my tip to you is to make sure you do your stamping first. I had stuck all this down and I thought about that afterwards, so I had to lift this piece of pattern paper up to stamp underneath. But I think that kind of looks cool, doesn't it? It's like this really fun little pattern, and I've used the Mocha ink pad, which I mentioned earlier. So if you are new to stamping, I'm going to give you some tips with the stamping. I'm going to introduce you to the it's called a Stampin' Pierce mat. So this kind of has like two uses. You can use it to stamp on. It's got a really nice firm base, and I really find that when you are using the Stampin' Up! Ink pads, because these are quite wet, they're a wet ink, so they're on a foam base. The ink is actually on foam, as opposed to the Close to My Heart stamp pads, which are on felt. So these are hard. It's like quite a hard stamp pad, whereas this one is kind of like bouncy. It's not as firm, and it's quite tacky. So when you press the stamp into it, it kind of like, it's like a sponge, right? So you do have to kind of use the kiss principle. Keep it simple, sweetie. And you only just want to very lightly kiss the base of that stamp pad to ink that up. I'm going to demonstrate that to you today. So I did invest in one of these Stampin' Pierce mats, because I find that having this really firm base is super helpful with the Stampin' Up! Inks, because they are so juicy, okay? let's show you how this really cool cityscape stamp works. So I'm going to pop this onto my, well, here, let's do this one here because I've already got it on the block first of all. So I've got my stamp on my acrylic block. You can see that it's see-through, it's clear, so it's going to be really helpful for you when you go to stamp your image. I'm sorry about my broken nail here. This is my barley nail. For those of you that follow me on Facebook, that was my barley nail. And it's broke. No surprises there. So I'm just going to pop my paper on top of my Stampin' mat. So it's called a Stampin' Pierce mat because you can actually use this as a base. If you've got a craft ruler that has got holes in it, see this really cool stitching technique? I could actually put this over cardstock and I could pierce holes through here with my piercing tool. So that's what you're going to use this mat for. I haven't done that kind of technique before. I'm not going to lie. It's not really my jam. So, but I do love using the Stampin' mat. And I think off the top of my head, it's only like $8. Stampin' Pierce mat. I will pop a link to the product in the comments. So I'm just going to demonstrate with the Close to My Heart ink pads. So when you are using your Close to My Heart ink pads, you can tap really firmly on that. Tap, tap, you can give it a twist. I can even like wipe over that, right? You can hear how firm that is. And all I'm going to do now is just stamp that onto my paper base, okay? Now, I've probably applied a little bit too much pressure there because I can see that that has kind of like smudged a little bit. So let me just ink that up again. And I probably don't have to be so firm with that. I've got some more scrap paper here. I've got so many of these leftover photo wells from Scrapbooking Workshop kits, and we're just going to apply pressure there. I probably see that turned out much better. So you can see I've pressed too hard here, right? I've been stamping for 11 years, girls, and even sometimes but then also you can see here I've overlapped here, I've overlapped there. It doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter. Creativity is subjective. It doesn't have to be perfect. So now I have done some stamping. What I like to do is clean my stamp before I put it back on the carrier sheet. And I've invested in a Stampin' Scrub, which is super cool. I'm actually loving this. I'm not going to lie. And so you can see here when you open it up, it's got 2 mats inside here. In this little corner here where the triangle piece is cut out, on one side you've got water droplets and on the other side you've got the sun. I like to think of this as like my air conditioning unit. So this side is meant to get wet with the little water droplets to remind you of that being wet. So this side is wet and this side is the sun. It stays dry. And the reason for that being is we are going to get our Stampin' Mist. And I am just going to spray. I have this sitting kind of like when I'm doing my stamping, just on the right-hand side here. It's got rubber feet here as well. So when it's on my workbench, it kind of stays nice and secure. And then I'm just going to spritz that up a little bit. We don't need to go too crazy. And then I'm going to get my block that's got my stamp on here. And I'm just going to rub that over the wet side. And then I'm going to clean that off on the dry side. Okay, so now this is nice and clean. The Stampin' Mist helps to also condition your stamps as well, which is really important. So I've misted up this side here and I've rubbed the excess ink off. You can also mist directly onto the stamp, but I then find that I kind of have too much mist. And then it's like really wet and it's just all blur. I'm not a big fan of that. So, you know, you do what works best for you, okay? I'm just going to give you the tools and the tips, and then you do what you feel works best for you, okay? So I've cleaned and conditioned my stamp, and then I can pop that back on the carrier sheet now. The really cool thing about the stamps that come in the kids collection is they're exclusive to the kit. So I'm not going to lie, I actually bought this kit purely just for the stamp set because there weren't any other kind of city themed stamps available at the time when I wanted to make a scrapbooking layout with that. So I'm just going to pop my City Skyline stamp now on here and grab some scrap paper just so you can see how this one turns out. So you can still purchase the City Sites kit. Obviously it's a card making kit, but the really cool thing about that, it's going going to ink that up. The really cool thing about that is that once you've made the cards, you've still got the ink pad, you've still got the stamp. Okay, so I've inked that up nice and good. You don't need to apply too much pressure as well, okay? So like, and you don't need to rock it. You can see here I'm just tapping it on top of the felt pad. And then I'm just going to apply some pressure on here. And, oh my gosh, I love it. I love it. Is that just like not the coolest thing ever? Seriously, it just makes me want to go back to New York so bad, girls. I'm so jealous. Sonia got to go to New York not long ago in autumn. We went in spring, but it was like really, it was like March. So first month of spring, towards the end of March, but it was still cold and the trees were still bare. But I'm going back to New York next year, girls. So I'm very excited about that. Okay, now I want to show you the inking with the pool party. And in fact, what I did here was, you can't even tell because I actually did it as second generation stamping. With my journal box, I actually stamped this textured stamp set. I actually stamped it here and then I stamped it here as well. And you can't even see it because I did it in second generation stamping. So do you know what we're going to do? And this is a little scary, I'm not going to lie, because I've already done my journaling. I'm actually going to restamp over the top of that with pool party because I want to have this blue here. Let's see what that looks like. I'm a little scared because I've already done my journaling, but you know what? It doesn't matter. It's fine. And if it doesn't work out, oh, let me clean that stamp first. If it doesn't work out, I can always lift my journal box up and I can rewrite that. But you know what? I actually don't tend to do that too much because, like, you know, done is better than perfect is my motto. Okay, I'm just going to scrub that excess ink off and dry that off. Love it. Love it. You know what would have looked really cool with the stamp set too if I had done the cityscape border. I thought about that afterwards. I could have done that along the bottom here and had like a continual cityscape border. Stay tuned. You might see it on another layout later. Okay, we're going to do this. I'm going to do a test run first though. Let's do a test run first, okay? So I've got some scratch paper. I'm going to get my little ink pad. So I did it in second generation because I was worried that doing it like straight up was going to be like too blue. So second generation means to, actually I'll just show you. Second generation means to stamp your ink pad up. So now I'm using the Stampin' Up. So you can, I don't know if you can hear that, but like it's kind of like, it's tacky. So it kind of like sticks into it. So second generation is to stamp and then to stamp it again a second time without re-inking it. And then what happens is you get a lighter version of the original color. But as you can see, it didn't really kind of turn out as well. I should have actually done a test run of that the first time before I did this layout. So I'm going to ink this up. Let me come back in the camera here. So I'm going to ink this up. Boom, boom, boom. Tap, 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 tap. I'm just going to give a little twist, but I want to finish with a tap because if you twist it in the ink, then like it smudges. So I'm going to stamp it in the corner like this, just over the top of my journaling. Cool, 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 cool. And then I'm going to ink it up again. And I had one in the top left-hand corner. And then I had one in the bottom left-hand corner as well. Just over the top here like so. So you can't really see it, but let's just leave that to dry and see how that works out. Oh, I inked off a little bit. Oh, I smudged a little bit there. I've got ink on my finger. So I'm actually waiting on some embellishments to put on there. So what I will do when my embellishments come, I have ordered the adhesive backed sequin trio. I'm going to show you the sample of this. These came in one of my kit collections. It came in the Boho Beach kit collections. These white sequins, if I can get to them. So you get so much stuff in the kits. I put my leftovers in here. These white sequins, I've actually ordered a packet of these. So I'm going to put that over there and I'll cover that up. I've ordered a pack of these, so I'm waiting for them to come in. So I will definitely be putting some little sequin gems on here and here and here, just around the parts where I have stamped. So we're going to clean off this stamp here, and then I'm going to dry this off on this side here. So I hope that you have enjoyed my Technique Tuesday class today and you've picked up some good tips for stamping. Stamping is just a really fun, therapeutic way to add some coolness to your scrapbooking layouts. I can put these back on the carrier sheet now, pop that over the top, and then I can put that back in my City Sites kit. And then I can just close up my ink pads like so, and I'm all good to go. So I will drop comments at the bottom. I might not get to this until tomorrow now because I have 11 people here at my house for dinner in about an hour and a half. So I am going to sign off now, and tomorrow I will pop all of the links below to the comments. Don't forget, free shipping is also still running today and tomorrow. It finishes tomorrow, December 11, at 11:59 p.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which is Sydney time. And for those of you that are here in Adelaide with me, that is half an hour ahead of us. Okie dokie. So if you haven't yet invested in your Stamp and Pierce mat or your Stamp and Scrub or your Stamp and Mist for your stamps and your blocks, you will definitely want to do that if you were going to get into stamping. And these are the mini alphabet dies I have used on my scrapbook layout today to punch out the letters for Hudson Yards, and I've just stuck them on with some mini glue dots. So thank you so much for joining in. Thanks, Emily. I can see you've joined us, and Chris has joined us as well. Thanks so much. Yes, my blue polish did break off, Emily. This was my nail that I actually, this was my Bali nail. So my nail broke literally the day after I got to Bali a few weeks ago, and I got them to fix it. And then when I got back to Adelaide, I went to see my normal nail technician, and I said to her, you're going to need to pull that nail off. And she never actually pulled the nail off. And by the time I realized she hadn't pulled it off and replaced it, she'd already put the acrylic on. So I'm actually not surprised that this whole nail has broken off. So yes, I need to go and get it replaced. But can you tell what color it is, Emily? It is Pool Party. Pool Party. I love it. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Have a great week. I cannot wait to see your scrapbooking layouts this week. And for those of you that are coming to my Christmas crop on Saturday, I look forward to seeing you then. Have a great week, everyone. Bye for now.